Pakistanis have gone to the polls in a critically important election. What will be left of their democracy? With the army pulling the strings behind the scenes, not much. Committing atrocities in Gaza, incriminating themselves online. Do Israeli soldiers not care that the ICJ is watching? And a commanding presence whose words fall flat. The White House spokesman tasked with defending an indefensible war. With more than 60 countries going to the polls in 2024, we are now 1 month into the year of the election. We begin with the one in Pakistan, where this week's vote did not go according to plan. It was meant to be a formality, the outcome predetermined. The Pakistani military and intelligence apparatus, referred to across the media there as the establishment, had made its preferences clear and marginalized candidates it opposed, namely former Prime Minister Imran Khan. The media had their marching orders. Anchors shied away from mentioning Khan's name on the air. But the establishment encountered a problem. Khan and his party, the PTI, remained popular with the people, and the early returns reflected that. For all their managing of the narrative and meddling with the politics, the powers lurking behind the scenes in Pakistan underestimated the PTI's popularity with the electorate. And what has followed is chaos.
3
days before Pakistanis went to the polls came this prediction, one that would prove prophetic, on what would happen if voters failed to back Nawaz Sharif, the candidate of the powers that be, and voted for Imran Khan instead.
क्योंकि जब वोट डालने लोग निकलेंगे तो अगर किसी जगह लगेगा कि मामला हाथ से निकल रहे हैं तो उसको स्लो डाउन भी किया जा सकता है. It is manageable.
That is exactly what happened. Once the first wave of returns showing candidates affiliated with Khan were leading, the next wave of results slowed to a trickle. The Election Commission's official website suddenly went down on election night.
ऐसे ही बहुत हद तक मुमकिन है कि अगर इलेक्शन कमीशन को पता हो कि हमने रिजल्ट सुबह देना है तो हम सो जाते हैं फिर सुबह के दिन
मुजरिमाना गफलत की मुर्तकिब इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान दिख रही है 20 घंटे होने को हैं और अभी तक हमारे पास मुकम्मल नताइज मौजूद नहीं हैं.
Pakistanis tuned into their news channels were watching their democracy being managed in real time.
This election was hardly an election. I think the right word for this was a predetermined selection. The military establishment had expected that they would be able to control the results. Within 2 to 3 hours, it became obvious that Imran Khan's party was sweeping the elections. So the military took control of the Election Commission and has manufactured a totally new election results.
Pakistanis have always had to read between the lines in the reporting and decipher coded language from news outlets wary of angering the authorities. They use cryptic terms like the establishment for the institutions that have almost always held the real power behind the scenes, the army and the intelligence agency, the ISI. Such language was deployed throughout the election campaign, delivered with a chuckle at times, like a joke that everyone is in on.
सबसे पहले ये बताइए कि आपको इलेक्शन नताइज में क्या नजर आ रहा है?
ये इलेक्शन के नताइज का फैसला जो है वो तो वोटर्स ने करना है.
जी जी.
The establishment tried hard to tilt the playing field against the former Prime Minister, Imran Khan, the country's most popular national leader, and his party, the PTI. The PTI was officially banned from the ballot. Party candidates were forced to run as independents. Then, just a week prior to the vote, Khan was sentenced to more than 30 years in jail on corruption charges and dubious allegations that he had an un-Islamic marriage. The establishment thought it had managed to make Khan and his party unelectable. The results of the vote, at least the early returns, proved otherwise.
In many ways, Imran Khan's story is a story of both continuity and a story of disruption. Imran Khan's story of continuity, what is that? That's because every prime minister in Pakistan who's tried to assert civilian authority eventually comes up against the military establishment, and he has, shown the door, ousted out of power in whichever way is deemed fit. But Imran Khan's story is also a story of disruption because he's been able to tap into a sentiment within Pakistan, and that personality cult has meant that he's retained his hold on the public imagination and is now actually given as an example or a lesson of how to sort of tap into the demographic, the youth and young people as well, who are obviously key voters. But I think also it's a one way of describing his political party, because it is around the personality of Imran Khan. The myth and the legend is that it's not Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, it's actually Pakistan Tehreek-e-Imran.
When Imran Khan was first elected in 2018, he didn't really take power. He shared it with the establishment, as other prime ministers have had to do in what Pakistanis call their hybrid regimes. The former cricket player played ball with the military until 2021, when he clashed with army chiefs over who should lead the intelligence agency. By 2022, he was out of office. Then Khan went after the establishment, shattering taboos by naming and shaming army heads, setting himself on a collision course with the security apparatus, effectively sealing his own political fate.
I think this is also a very simplistic way of looking at it. Mr. Imran Khan, he may have peddled the kind of narrative which has made him a very popular leader in Pakistan. But he's committed a long list of mistakes, both while he was in power, from 2018 till he was thrown out in 2022 in the vote of no confidence, and even afterwards. So, for example, he peddled this theory about some very large-scale conspiracy in which the United States was involved with the opposition parties in Pakistan to throw him out. Because he has a large support base, he was able to whip up a lot of frenzy. But then, obviously, the next thing happened, which is that he was slapped with a lot of court cases.
I heard reports, people who attended a meeting with intelligence, and the message was very clearly delivered that you cannot say Imran Khan's name on mainstream television. So the Pakistani media had many amusing ways of referring to Imran Khan. It was always some kind of metaphor, describing him as Suleiman's father, that's his son's name. Anchors were used to saying Imran Khan very easily, or Khan. And then you suddenly see that they had to stop themselves.
क्योंकि वकील अब्दुल रज़ाक साहब, उन्होंने इमरान खान साहब पर, माफी चाहता हूं, उन्होंने चेयरमैन तहरीक-ए-इंसाफ पर.
Leery of the compromises their mainstream media operate under, supporters of Khan and the PTI flocked to YouTube, social media, and elsewhere online to get their news. Khan's own YouTube account has been key to his party's messaging, as have bloggers backing the PTI, spreading the word virally. Those platforms have also attracted the attention of the establishment.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, आप YouTube चैनल देख रहे हैं, मैं इमरान खान हूं.
Imran Riaz Khan, no relation, is a cautionary case in point, one of them. A broadcast journalist, Imran Riaz worked for mainstream news channels until 2020, before migrating to YouTube, where he has more than 4 million subscribers.
मेरा एक मौक़िफ़ है एस्टेब्लिशमेंट की सियासत में मुदाखलत के खिलाफ.
In 2023, after Imran Khan's supporters attacked military installations, Imran Riaz was arrested for a third time and disappeared for 4 months. Police and other officials denied knowing of his whereabouts. He came out of it clearly damaged. His case served as a warning to Pakistani journalists working online.
Imran Riaz Khan was twice abducted and picked up illegally. He spent months in solitary confinement. He came back in a very bad shape. There were others abused, beaten and assaulted on the roadside. A very prominent television anchor person, a colleague of mine, Arshad, was chased in Dubai. He was forced to leave Dubai. He took shelter in Kenya, where he was gunned down. All the elements of his murder found within Pakistan. And then the threats, the midnight calls. I was called many times in the middle of the night. This is how I was forced to leave Pakistan after Shahid Arshad Sharif's murder.
Media under threat is a reality, which is connected to the kind of power structure that we have here in Pakistan. Does the threat come from the establishment? There are no two ways about it. Does it come from civilian governments? Of course it does. There's been a long line of people in Pakistan who've held very high offices, both civil and military, who've had very little tolerance for freedom of expression and who've resorted to all kinds of pressures, both violent and non-violent, to try and clamp down on the media. So, unfortunately, the reality is that Pakistani media continues to live under a threat.
This is the stage of the story where we sometimes turn to the lessons to be learned, or how things are likely to change, except almost no one in Pakistan sees it that way. Despite the glaring slowing down of the vote count, the clear interference of the Elections Commission in the electoral outcome, it comes as no surprise to Pakistanis that there was Nawaz Sharif the day after an election he appeared to have lost, making what his party called a victory speech.
Pakistan Muslim League Noon सबसे बड़ी जमात बन के उभरी है.
Leaving Pakistanis to face the fact, the incontestable, well-established fact,